Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. In our last episode, we saw Tony taking significant steps toward rebuilding his life and earning back Marcus' trust. Today, we're diving deeper into their journey, exploring how far they've come and the challenges that still lie ahead. It's a story about redemption, family, and the delicate balance of second chances. Months had passed since Tony completed his training with the Second Gear Initiative. He'd been offered a full-time position at the shop, a testament to his hard work and dedication. For Marcus, watching Tony settle into a stable routine was both a relief and a source of quiet pride. However, the road ahead wasn't without its hurdles. Tony's first major test came when an old acquaintance from his past life showed up at the shop. Rico, a former associate from Tony's hustling days, strolled in one afternoon, flashing a grin that hadn't changed in years. Tony. Man, it's been a minute, Rico said, his voice loud enough to turn heads. Tony froze. He hadn't seen Rico since before his arrest, and the sight of him stirred up a mix of emotions, nostalgia, shame, and a twinge of fear. Yeah, it's been a while, Tony replied cautiously, glancing at Marcus, who was working nearby. We should catch up, Rico said. I've got some things going on that you might want to be a part of, like old times. Tony's jaw tightened. I'm not about that life anymore, he said firmly. Rico's grin faltered, replaced by a smirk. Come on, Tony, people like us don't just walk away. You know that? Before Tony could respond, Marcus stepped in. He said he's not about that life, Marcus said, his tone leaving no room for argument. You should respect that and move on. Rico glared at Marcus but didn't push further. All right, I see how it is, he said, raising his hands in mock surrender. But don't forget, Tony. The streets don't forget either with that. Rico turned and left. The encounter left Tony shaken. That evening, he and Marcus sat in the office, the tension between them thick. You okay, Marcus asked. Tony nodded, but his eyes betrayed his unease. I thought I'd left all that behind. But seeing Rico, he trailed off, shaking his head. It's like a part of me is still stuck there. That part doesn't have to define you, Marcus said. You've worked too hard to let someone like Rico pull you back in. Stay focused on what you've built here. Tony looked at Marcus, his expression a mix of gratitude and determination. You're right, I'm not going back. Not this time. As Tony continued to navigate life outside of prison, he found himself drawn to giving back. He started volunteering at a local youth center, speaking to at-risk teens about his experiences and the dangers of the choices he'd made. It wasn't easy. Standing in front of a room full of skeptical faces reminded him of his own stubbornness at that age, but he persisted. One afternoon, after a particularly tough session, a boy named Jamal approached Tony. Did you really used to run the streets, Jamal asked, his tone equal parts curiosity and disbelief. Tony nodded. Yeah, I did. And it cost me everything. Jamal frowned. But you made it out. Maybe I can too. Tony's heart ached at the boy's words. You can, he said, but don't wait until it's too late to make a change. You've got a chance right now to choose a different path. The interaction stuck with Tony, reinforcing his commitment to his new life. It also sparked an idea. He approached Marcus with a proposal to start a youth mentorship program through the Second Gear Initiative. We've got the tools, the space, and the stories, Tony said. Why not use them to keep kids like Jamal from making the same mistakes we did? Marcus was hesitant at first. The shop was already stretched thin, and adding a mentorship program would require time and resources they didn't have. But Tony's passion was contagious, and eventually Marcus agreed to give it a shot. The mentorship program started small, with just a handful of kids coming in after school to learn basic auto repair skills and hear stories from Tony and other trainees. The impact was immediate. Kids who might have otherwise been on the streets found a safe space where they felt seen and valued. For Marcus, watching Tony thrive in this new role was both inspiring and bittersweet. He spent years resenting his brother, but now he saw a man who was genuinely trying to make amends not just to him, but to the world. One evening, after the last of the kids had gone home, Marcus and Tony sat in the office, sharing a rare moment of quiet. You've come a long way, Marcus said, breaking the silence. Tony smiled. So have we. Marcus nodded, his heart heavy with emotion. I'm proud of you, Tony. I don't say that enough, but I am. Tony looked at Marcus, his eyes glistening. That means more than you know. Real quick, youth gangs contribute significantly to crime rates in their areas. The Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, it has reported that up to 86% of serious crimes in certain neighborhoods can be attributed to gang members. As we close this episode of Doing Time with Joe, let's reflect on the power of second chances. Tony's journey is a reminder that it's never too late to change, but change requires commitment, support, and a willingness to confront the past. For Marcus and Tony, the road hasn't been easy, but they're walking it together one step at a time. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace.
I'm getting so tired.